Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Moonshots and Meatballs. A little while since we've had our last episode, but we didn't want to get in between like the World Series. Probably could have had one last week, but with free agency coming, we figured we'd do a two-parter with kind of reacting to the World Series and free agency. Andrew, how you been this past couple of weeks, 2 weeks?
Been good, man. School's been having me in a chokehold, but been some great baseball been played and excited to look at these free agents.
I am excited too. I'm hoping, from what I've seen, maybe baseball starts to move like the rest of the sports in free agency, where it's a little more quicker, a little more of an entertainment than waiting till freaking mid-January for the big
Yeah,
one.
winter meetings.
It can be brutal sometimes with MLB free agency being just so slow. Like
Yeah,
everybody just wants it right now. No patience. I got no patience. You got no patience. Nobody's got patience. But
yeah.
we'll start with the World Series as the Houston Astros. They are your champion. They win in 6 games against the Philadelphia Phillies. And the rookie, Jeremy Pena, MVP. Give me your thoughts.
I'm not 100% sure. Did I call Pena MVP in the
I
last pod?
I don't
Or did I
know.
say I think it was either Verlander or Pena.
You probably said I was pretty high on I said either Jordan or I said Bregman. Bregman was my MVP after the pennant as well.
Bregman
So
looked
I
good.
going into the World Series, I thought Bregman. I thought Tucker could be it as well because he was not producing as much. He did.
Tucker had a good World Series. I love Kyle
Pena,
Tucker.
Pena had some of the big home runs, some of the clutch hits. Like he was batting, I think two or three. Was it two? I don't know, but because you had, I think it was two because you had
It was
Altuve,
Altuve, Pena,
Pena,
and then Breg.
Jordan,
Yeah,
or yeah, Jordan then Bregman because
yeah, yeah.
that's why Bregman was having such a great playoffs because they wouldn't pitch to Jordan. So all right, Bregman's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, the Astros, are they kind of breaking into a dynasty a little bit?
I think they definitely can. I don't know if it's yet. I mean, they've been to so many World Series. I feel like it's similar to the Dodgers. Like I wouldn't call them a dynasty, even though they went to 4 World Series.
They
It's kind
have
of
they
like
have two of them though.
I know they do, but I think what this more does is erase any doubts that this is not one of like the 2017 Chiefs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore because this team is still one of the best teams with or without the trash cans.
This is an undisputed title. And a lot of people were they're starting to become a kind of a second wave where people are coming on the other side of the Astros thing because you're looking at the advanced stats and you're seeing, wow, some of these guys actually hit better on the road when they didn't have this technology. Like Altuve was hitting better on the road. Correa was. So a lot of people were like starting to kind of turn over on it. Not I mean, you can't really fully forget
Especially
that.
so like one of the biggest reasons is this is just a slap in the face to Yankees fans. A slap in the face who just couldn't will never let 2017 get past them. Now that they were screaming, "We want Houston." And Houston just brought out the broom, said, "See you later.
They
See you
did, yeah.
later." That was disrespectful on on Houston's side. Really just kind of put say Yankees fans like, hey, you're still not on our level, bro.
Yeah, little brothered them still.
It really did. Phillies, we'll talk a sec for the pennant. I thought the biggest weakness for the Padres coming into that series exposed themselves. Non-Darvish and non-Musgrove pitchers starting, I
Got
think
lit
really
up.
hurt them. Wasn't high on Snell, wasn't high on Clevenger coming into this series. I thought the Padres, this team was best set for 3 and 5 game series, where those games meant way more with Darvish and Musgrove
On the
on the mound.
mound, yeah.
Even Musgrove didn't have the greatest series against the Phillies, but like those were the pitchers I thought you would rely on. Darvish was one of them. He had a great, I think at least one start, maybe both of them, but they exposed their other pitchers, and Phillies pitchers played well. The clutch hitting from the Phillies.
Oh yeah, I mean the Phillies, the clutch hitting all postseason long. The first game, they're down 3-0 against the Cardinals in the top of the ninth. They pull off six straight. And just from then on, it seemed like every time they needed a big hit, they got one up
Yeah.
until the World Series.
Up
But
until
still,
the
even
second game, I think the first game of the World Series, they got that, and
yeah,
then it was, and then
yeah,
it was. I think the Astros. I think the Astros hadn't lost a game, and I think that was a big wake up call for the Astros. Like, oh,
definitely.
all right, no joking around here. This is the World Series. We've gotten here like 3 past times. We're not blowing this one.
Yeah, I even before the World Series, I think they were a little bit like overlooking the Phillies, and that kind of woke. I saw an interview like Kyle Tucker. They asked him like, "What do you think about the Phillies?" He was like, "Well, I hope we finish them off quick because I got a vacation planned to Cancun." So he
Yeah, so
and
that
he
they were
and he
just.
came out and hit 2 bombs in the first game. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, he did his part,
he did his part.
but
But
yeah,
this Phillies team was so much fun to watch. I mean, then that Harper home run against the Padres to send them to the World Series. I mean, talk about baseball being romantic. I about cried, dude. It was beautiful.
I just think the reason I was pretty heavy on the Astros here in the World Series once it got to them, because I just didn't think some of these guys who aren't were playing very well, just there's against great pitching from the Astros, probably the best bullpen we've seen in maybe years, that they would continue because they're just not. I mean, they're good, but they're not this good. For example, Reese. Reese was the biggest catalyst, I think, for them making it
Yeah,
this far, who kind of digressed. And Reese is a good player, but he's probably like the 9, 10 best first baseman in the baseball. He's
he's
not he's
not
not
good defensively.
and you saw that it finally started to bite them, their defense in this
Yeah,
series, which you knew it had to come sometime. But yeah, he's a good player, but he's not this kind of guy who's gonna, in my opinion, win you a World Series. So I was waiting for that to show, and it showed. JT continued to produce. The second half of the year and this postseason, he's proved. Yeah, I had a slow start, and I don't know why, but I'm still probably the best catcher in the league. We see Adley Rutschman; he's going to take over. It might take another year or two. Francisco Alvarez coming up, you don't know what he's going to be. Alejandro Kirk had a great year. You still got
Wilson
Contreras, but
Contreras is still
right,
good.
at least
Yeah,
for right now, it's JT and everybody else.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Kyle Schwarber, playoff Kyle Schwarber, baby.
He was
Oh my
great. The
goodness,
the other one, which I thought would kind of have a fall off, was Bohm. Bohm's a good player. Again,
great
he's
fastball
really
hitter.
rallied around Philly ever since that incident where he said, I fucking hate this place. But
Castellanos was bad. If they could have just
yeah,
gotten
that contract
250
is going to,
hitting from
because
Castellanos,
Castellanos hit for an okay. He hit like 260 this year, but like no
no
bombs,
bombs, no
no
bombs.
slugging whatsoever. That contract is going to age so poorly.
We'll see. I hope the Phillies kind of try to recoup this
Well, they're letting Gene
energy
Segura
and
go, and they're going after one of the big shortstops.
yeah,
I hope they don't get him. They just re-sign Gene.
I think Trey fits perfect.
I
But
disagree.
you
I
think
think Xander fits better.
okay, yeah, I could see that.
I don't want one of those guys. If they do sign a shortstop, I hope it's Dansby because that takes away from
That
Atlanta.
would be ridiculous.
Bro, Atlanta would be so pissed. I'd be so like,
That would be crazy. But
so
before we switch on to free agency, we need to
yeah.
give Bryce Harper his flowers.
But Bryce Harper was fantastic. I
Lit,
think he's kind of I don't know if this is going to be another kind of resurgence in his career again. Like he had the MVP last year, but the first couple years in Philly were like he was good, but he
he
wasn't
was
great.
very good.
He was very good, but like for what people viewed him in Washington, they viewed him as a top 5 player and top 10 player in baseball, even top 3. And I don't know if he's top 3, but he's like a top 10 player. He's that good. He's a very good player. He
I don't know about overall players since he hasn't been able to get the defensive aspect in, but he's a top 3 hitter.
he I don't know if I can
Dude,
say
he
that.
started the
He had a
postseason with
listen,
12 straight games with an extra base hit.
he is a fantastic player. He had a monster World Series, but
Whole
take it.
postseason
I know, but I like
and the in the season.
you taking him over Jordan?
Um,
Kidding?
yeah, I think so.
I don't know if I could do that. You taking him over Soto, who's a
Yeah,
monster this
I
postseason.
am. I am.
I'm taking Soto over him. I think I gotta still take Trout as like one of like he's Trout, bro. Like it's good. I think he ends up going as the greatest player of all time, and he's still that
Harper
dude.
Harper did a lot for me this postseason.
Like,
Like I
listen, I
think it
think you
just
can.
cemented his legacy because he already has the two MVPs. He has the Rookie of the Year.
I think you
He
knew though he was going. He's a Hall of Fame player. Everybody knows.
easily inner circle.
Yes, I can agree with that. Yes, I think he's. Yes,
He just,
that's all I'll say.
I mean, the clutch hitting was always there. Always got the hit when they needed it. I just he's worth honestly that contract's starting to seem a bit underrated because he's already won an MVP. He's took the team to a World Series.
It's just very long. We'll see. It's not as much a the
But the
AAV is
thing
underrated, but he's still got a long part
everybody
of that.
everybody was at that time it was rough giving out those long contracts because you see how Albert and Miggy's contracts went poorly. They got those contracts when they were over 30. Harper got hurt his when he was what 26, 27.
I think he's like 27, 28, 20, around that range. And it was
So
like
that means he's gonna have a lot
it'll
of
go
better years
into
in
his
those
40s, I'm
contracts.
pretty sure. Late 30s, early 40s.
If he can just stay DH and not have to play defense, all he has to do is keep that swing pure.
Here's the
He
problem
will be
though.
productive.
Then you have Schwarber and Castellanos as your corner outfield. That's
Yeah, and those guys took you to a World Series in the corner outfield, so you know it's possible.
it's possible, but like the defense is just terrible. It's terrible.
Castellanos played great defense in the
He
playoffs.
he did, but like he's getting older.
Schwarber's more than serviceable in left field.
But what I'm saying is, you can play one of them at a corner outfield. But playing both of them
Takes you to the World Series.
again, it worked this year, so I can't like knock it. But like again, like what are the odds? So because it's so hard to get
One of
back,
one so far.
I guess. But we haven't really talked enough about the Astros and how good they were because they got the pitch. Even when they'd have bad pitching, when Verlander didn't have a great day, they'd still win. When their bats weren't come alive, their pitching came alive. Framer Valdez was awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, and Christian Javier, it just seems like they have an endless supply.
They got a no hitter in the World. I know it was a combined, so it's not good as like Don Larson. I thought like Don Larson's kid be like, it was no. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, it's nowhere near what a perfect game or a one pitcher no hitter, but it's still a no hitter in the World Series. It's only the second one ever. I have to see I'm at a loss for words for that. Like that's how big that was. And that I feel like that was such a momentum shifter that took the soul away from Philadelphia. And
Didn't
I
they come
feel
back and win the next one?
what?
Didn't they come back and win the next one?
Who?
Philly.
Phillies?
After
No.
that game?
No, because that was so Phillies won game 1 and 3. And I think that was game 5.
I thought game. Yeah, I think
It was
it
either
was either
game 4 or
the.
5. It was game 4 or 5.
Did they throw a no hitter in Philly?
I think it was in Philly.
Check. But yeah, like the Astros just keep pulling these dudes out of. I don't. They have an endless
Pena,
supply of
phenomenal.
relief pitchers.
Jordan wasn't as big as you thought he would be. People were pitching very carefully against him. That was like the one guy everybody's like, we don't care what he's doing. You're not going to beat him. But he ended up coming big with, dude, that was a monster nuke in game 6, bro. 450 dead center, bro. He tanked that.
Yeah. And I think something that not everybody's really shown enough respect to is like you lose a top 5 shortstop in baseball last year.
And
Bring
they
up a
just fill it.
rookie, they
And they fill
didn't
it.
miss a beat. They won the World Series.
Yeah. And
They go even farther.
And guys that, Bregman didn't have a great regular season for a Bregman. Like people thought, hey, he's not in that top tier category of third baseman. He's still good, but he ain't elite anymore. He had an elite postseason. Kyle Tucker, who, yes, he's slow for the first part of the postseason, but in the World Series came up huge, hitting bombs. Altuve was Altuve.
Altuve woke up because he was terrible in the first couple series.
He was terrible. Christian Vasquez was solid. Trey Mancini wasn't great. They had holes as well in that. Like Trey Mancini wasn't great. Yori Gurriel was okay, not great.
the defense of the Astros
Yeah,
was
Mancini. All right, so we could say Mancini maybe not had the bat, but that play at first
that
base,
play at first, the play
something
in
Reese
center
is not gonna
field,
make. Something Reese is not
the
gonna
inning
make.
after that, crazy. Yeah, Reese Hoskins is not making that play in his best day ever.
That's where you see like defense. It does matter. Like there's going to be a couple plays where if you're not a defensive team, it's gonna bite you, and you saw that with the Phillies and the Astros. So, congrats to the Astros. I think we talked about this in our prediction for the playoffs. I knew if I didn't pick the Mets, I was high. I thought the Astros were gonna win. I thought they were the best team in baseball. Yeah, and to see that come, like they are just so deep and just every position you had a guy who could make an
Yeah,
impact. And I thought their path would be easier, less resistance. I didn't think the Phillies would be there, but I didn't think the Braves would shit the bed the way they did. And they were just the way they played against San Diego. So
yeah. Well, moving on to free agency now.
well, on the free agency started officially yesterday at Thursday at 5 o'clock. Already got a couple signings. Got Robert Suarez to the Padres, a 5-year deal for $46 million. So that's very solid deal for the Padres. One of probably their best, arguably their best reliever last year for a little over $9 million per year. Fantastic deal.
Yeah, great deal. I think it's great value. I think he's on the up and up. And I think in 2, 3 years, we're going to see this deal as a bargain.
That I agree. Then you got the rumored deal, which is Clayton Kershaw going back to the Dodgers for 1 year. Don't know the AAV, or I'd say it's 1 year, so I don't know the total, whatever you want to call it. Don't know yet, but I didn't see him going anywhere. If he was going to leave, it would have been last year. He's not leaving.
Yeah. The only place I could have seen him going was to the Rangers
I
back
thought
home.
the only place that was possible, what was so unlikely, was the Rangers, and I thought the Angels maybe if they paid him a bag, he stays in Los Angeles. But it was a long shot for him to
It
leave.
really wouldn't surprise me if Kershaw took a hometown discount and is trying
I
to
think it's going to be
get
from
another
15 to
ring.
I think it's going to be from 15 to 20 mil. That'll probably be my guess.
Yeah,
If somebody offered him maybe 30, 35 mil, he might have left, but like would have taken a lot. If you were to leave, it would have been last year. And then the big
definitely.
one, the big bomb so far, Edwin Diaz signs a 5-year, $102 million deal to stay with the Mets. Timmy Trumpet staying at Citi Field. Highest paid reliever in history. And I'm not going to lie. Of course, it's a risk. When you pay relievers this big, it's a risk. But the Mets could not afford him to leave with the way Uncle Steve opens up his checkbook. I'm perfectly okay with it. And listen, if you can get 3 years of strong Diaz the way he's played this year, at least 1 year of him being at least a good reliever, the 5th year doesn't matter to me. You like obviously I want him to be elite all 5 years, but like you can take at least 1 year of that contract being
Yeah.
and
I think if he has 2 years like he did this past year, it's worth it. But it's really tough to replicate that as a reliever. But I hope he does. I hope it's worth it.
it's definitely tough. I think there's certain guys though who could do it. You like the way you saw Diaz and stuff. It wasn't just like he was having like a little luck or like he had some
No, he was
great
dominant.
defense. He had good defense, but it was just pure dominance. Pure dominance. His strikeout rate was insane. And you saw Hader have a run for what, 4 years, 3 years? So you can have that type of run. And it's not like he's not getting that old. He can still, I
Yeah.
think he's late 20s. So if he continues, he'll get another decent contract
Yeah.
at the end of the
And
5 years.
there isn't really a huge market for relief pitchers right now. He's up here and everybody else is
Exactly. I think Robert Suarez
down
is
there.
another
So
one. Andrew Heaney is a very good reliever. I'm hoping the Mets can probably sign him. But obviously, I think there's a big you got the shortstops and then you got the other two big names. I feel like there's a couple big. So you got Judge, DeGrom, and the 3 shortstop with Turner, with Correa. Oh, 4 shortstops, excuse me. Bogarts and Dansby.
yeah.
So I feel like after that, it's a bit of a drop to Rondon. Still great. And then you have like kind of like the next tier in with Contreras and Verlander
I think Abreu is going
and
to be a sneaky
Nimmo.
good signing.
What?
I think Jose Abreu could be a sneaky good signing
He
somewhere.
definitely could, as long as he's not given the years.
If
I
he
think
gives 2 more good years to a team, I think whatever the AAV is on that, it's
yeah.
worth it.
I just don't. If somebody signs him to like a 5-year deal, I think that'd be a brutal contract. I think
Yeah.
you're looking at a 3-year deal for Abreu, and I think it's going to be worth it. I think he's definitely going to be a sneaky kind of guy.
Wow, I had no idea Justin Turner was 38.
Yeah, dude.
Holy cow, he's been doing it for a while.
He has. I don't. I think he probably ends up re-signing with the Dodgers. If not, I don't know where he goes. But I'm. That's not one. I don't think a lot of teams are like. At least top teams are going to want to. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. If he's willing
Yeah.
to take a bench role, I'd be down. But so we'll start off with Mr. Judge, a guy of that most likely going to win MVP. I don't see how it's not Judge. Is he staying in the Bronx?
I think we see him go home. Home to San Francisco,
Giants?
home to the Bay. I think he's played his
Dang.
last game in a Yankees jersey. I mean, they booed him in his last game there. The
They,
Yankees fans were literally booing him after he just broke the AL home run record.
he was
So,
brutal in the playoffs, though.
yeah, but I mean, still, he had almost 17 WAR this year, and you're booing him for a slight performance.
So here, I think he stays. I think if he leaves, it is the Giants. But I just don't see how the Yankees let him go. I just like the way it would look if they let Judge go after this year with the money they haven't spent on anybody in a long time. The Yankees kind of brand, I think, is tarnished.
I think they
Like
can throw him as big as a bag as they want, but I at the end of the day, I don't think he wants to be in New York anymore.
we'll we'll see. But if he leaves, it is such a huge slight on the Yankees and their brand. It is huge.
Yeah,
Like it will do way more damage, I think, than people think.
agreed.
All right, we'll start with then we'll go to Jagrom. Is he? I don't think you think he's staying in Queens, but I ultimately think he does stay in Queens. Um, I saw the report about the Rangers. I think he's using the Rangers just to get a bigger payday. I don't think he has any
He
intent.
could, he could,
He
but
could, but I think it's the Braves or the Mets. It's the Braves or the Mets, which so freaking scary to me. So scary. I
I
do
could
think
legitimately see the Rangers giving him the biggest contract ever.
I agree. I just don't think he wants to play in Texas. And I think he wants to win in his career. He's 35.
I don't think the Rangers will be that terrible if they had
I don't
DeGrom.
think they'll be that terrible, but I just don't see them as an elite team. I don't see them. They could be a playoff team, but they're not a World Series team. They have too many holes.
I mean, from what we saw this past year, it's really just about who gets
Temian
hot.
was not great. I mean, he got better as the year went on, but
Who?
what Marcus Semien,
Yeah, he had a great second half.
he had a great second half, but that first half was brutal. It was brutal. Seager was good. They got pieces
Daniel Love
around
was
it.
good.
Yeah, they got pieces, but
They do have pieces.
yeah,
They're gonna empty their pocketbooks for Jacob DeGrom because they missed out on all the pitchers last year.
I
And
think they signed Rodon instead. I think they lose out on Degrom and they get Rodon.
we shall see.
So all right, we'll start, and then we'll go to the big four, the shortstops. Where do you think they end up? We can start with Trey. I think the best.
So Trey, I think, will end up in either Philadelphia or back on the Dodgers.
So I agree with half you. I think he either ends up in Philly or hot take, he ends up with the Mets.
The
The Mets,
Mets.
the Mets want him. They've been talking about him for months, apparently. Like they'd slot him in at second base, move McNeil to left field. You have Kanak on the bench. Imagine a Lindor, Turner.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
So I think if he doesn't go to Philly, I think the Mets will pay the bag. I think if DeGrom doesn't sign, that's their guy they're going after. So if they don't sign DeGrom, I think they will get Turner. But if they do, probably pretty iffy. I don't want him to go to Philly though. I think he can definitely go back to the Dodgers. I think it's between those three teams.
Well,
I think
the
the
Phillies
Cubs,
just moved off of Gene Segura,
yes,
so they're
but they
gonna. I feel
probably
like they're
move
really
Stott.
gonna
You
go
probably
after
they
one of these
probably
guys very
whoever,
hard.
yeah, whoever comes will probably play short, and then they'll move Stott to second.
Yeah,
But I don't think the Cubs Trey Turner's going to be their guy. I don't think
no,
Turner.
I don't think so either.
If we move on to Correa, that's a. I think the Dodgers are a dark horse for Correa. I think the Dodgers.
Really,
I think if they don't land Correa,
Dodgers fans hate Correa.
they'll learn to love him. They would learn to love him. But I've seen so much to the Orioles, bro. And that just seems like, oh my God, because I know the Orioles are ready to spend, and you stick that him in there, you move like Gunnar Henderson to third or to second. You have Cedric Mullins, you have Adley Rutschman. This is a team that is going to start making some damage, and that AL East is going to be deep.
Yeah,
I like the Orioles for Correa.
I like the Chicago Cubs.
You think he goes to
They've
the Cubs? I think the Cubs are
the
definitely
Cubs have
one.
already met with Boras about Correa and Bogarts. They want to bring both of them in and move Bogarts to third. I don't know how likely that is, but I think they will end up with at least one of those guys.
I think they end up with the guy we're just about to talk about. That's Dansby Swanson.
Really? You think Dansby's a Cub?
I think Dansby's going to be a Cub or a Philly. Or a Brave. He can go back, but I just don't like it. I feel like the Braves have done all their extensions in the season, and if they were going to get one done with Dansby, it would have gotten done.
Yeah. I find it really hard. I mean, I guess they did just let go of Freddie, but especially with the fan base,
I
how
think
much they
if
love
they sign
Dansby.
DeGrom, there's no way he comes back. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I really see Dansby going back to the Braves. Um,
I could see it.
yeah, I don't really have anywhere else where I think he's very. I see Dansby really wanting to go back to the Braves and even taking a hometown discount because he is from the area. And it kind of means a lot to him, but we shall see.
All right, and the last one, Xander Bogaerts. I ultimately think this one's the surprise. I think I think the Cubs are an option. I think the Dodgers are an option. I think he stays though in Boston.
I think I think the Cubs are a little darker on Bogarts than Correa. I think you rather have Correa than Bogarts.
Really?
Ultimately,
I would rather have
yes.
Bogarts. I would
Ultimately, you want both, but I don't know if that will happen. If they open up their pocketbooks like they say they're going to, I think it's definitely possible. Bogarts, dark horse team, I hate to say it, is the St. Louis Cardinals.
dang, that'd be crazy. I
They
mean,
have
they
the
do have
money
a
to spend.
shortstop need.
They have a shortstop need.
They're already
It's
spending
their
big on the
system.
corners though. We'll see.
Their infield would be defensively crazy. I also think Dansby could end up in St. Louis if things go south with Atlanta. I think St. Louis is going to be very aggressive in getting a shortstop because they want that crazy infield. If you move Edmund to second, you throw one of these guys into short, and you have Arenado and Goldschmidt, who are gold glovers on the corners. Edmund, gold glove caliber. You throw Dansby in there, that would be a crazy infield.
That is a ridiculous infield. It really is. All right, we'll move on to the next tier. You got Rodon, you got Nimmo, you got Contreras, you got Verlander. Kershaw already is probably. Oh, here I got what the AAV could be. Update. Reportedly close, like we talked about with Kershaw to the Dodgers for 1 year, 17 million. So
Wow.
like I said, in between that 15 to 20 range.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's more of a I mean, he did have a great year, but it's more of a thank you for doing what you've
I mean,
done.
I could still that I can consider that a little bit of a discount. He probably could have gotten 23 million
Yeah,
somewhere,
definitely,
22 million. So
definitely,
he didn't take a big discount, but he definitely he probably shaved a couple mil off there.
definitely.
All right, Carlos Rodon.
I think Rodon stays in San Fran. I think they open up the
Wow.
checkbooks. I think they really want to compete. Down year this year. I don't really think, especially by their trade deadline moves, because if they really wanted to sell and restart as an organization, they would have dumped him. Because you know that contract's ending. You know
See,
you're
I
not
don't
going to make the
I
playoffs.
I agree that they're not. But I forgot to talk about this. I think because they're not going to get Judge the Giants. I think they're dark horse for all four of the shortstops. I think they definitely could. If they don't land Judge, watch out. They could definitely land one of them. I don't know which one because they're probably going to be in on all four. But whichever one would like to end up in the Bay Area probably could go there. But I don't think Rondon stays. I think he goes. I think we talked. I just said it. I think he goes to Texas because I think they mess out on DeGrom and they're going to spend the bag like a 5-year deal for Rodon, which is
Yeah, I think if they
he's
don't get,
earned it, but it's risky with his injury prone. It's definitely risky. All right, your guy, Wilson Contreras.
he's not coming back to Chicago. And the one landing spot that makes so much sense is our most bitter and fiercest rival, the St. Louis Cardinals. And they've rumored to want him. There was an in-season report that Wilson had a friend in the Cardinals organization that told him it's a world-class organization. They want him to be the guy there. Molina just retired. Molina is his idol. He wants to fill those shoes. I'm gonna hate to see it, but he is most likely gonna end up being a St. Louis Cardinal.
I think there's probably two teams in play with the dark horse. I think it's going to be either the Cardinals or the Astros, the World Series
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Fun little nugget. The Astros actually had a trade in place for Contreras at the deadline to send Jose Urquidy for Contreras, but it never went through. But both sides had agreed to it. It just I don't know if time had passed or if agents got in the way, but so there is definitely interest there.
So I think Houston's definitely one. And the dark horse team, I don't know if they're going to spend because they never friggin' do, but they should because they're good and they made a run this postseason and their fans deserve it. And that's the Cleveland Guardians.
I would like that a lot. I would like that a lot.
Great fit there with those pitchers, getting a veteran that can hit behind the plate, another addition, another great bat to add with Jimenez and Ramirez. Yeah, and
Quan.
Quan. That's what I was thinking about the rookie, Stephen Quan. There we go. I had him on my fantasy team. How do I not know
I
this?
don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, then we'll move on to Justin Verlander and Brandon Nimmo.
This is going to disappoint you. I'm going to start with the Nemo.
I
I think he is a Houston or a didn't or a Colorado Rocky. Jeez, I don't know why.
I think he's a Houston Rocky.
No, he is from the area. They're rumored to give him a bag, and you saw what they gave for Chris Bryant last year. So I mean, they're definitely wild cards in the front office. They're not going to compete, but
I saw how much they're gonna give him. I still don't think he leaves. I think the Mets will match that bag because, right, frankly, with Diaz signed, Nimmo is the most important free agent for the Mets to resign. More important than DeGrom, in my opinion. What he brings to this team with his leadoff ability, with what he does in the outfield, how he's gotten better and better. It keeps Marte on the right. He is and such a spark plug and energy guy. He embodies what the New York Mets are, and you got to keep him. So I think the Mets will do whatever they need to do to keep him, even if it's like 5 million short of the Rockies offer. I still think he could stay. I meant like 5 million total, not AAV.
okay, okay.
I meant like if he's instead of making like 25 mil, he's making like
Making 24.
22,
Yeah.
22.5, something like that. But I ultimately think it's going. He stays. I ultimately think Verlander stays with the Astros. I think if you see DeGrom leave, I think if you see Randon maybe not go to the Rangers, I think if you see some wild stuff, then maybe if Kershaw left, also maybe that would spark some wild things. But I ultimately think he stays. Like
Yeah, I don't really think he's worrying about money at all. His wife is a Sports Illustrated model, probably sitting on more cash than
than
he
him,
is. Kind of like
like
the Brady and Giselle situation. Rest in peace to that relationship.
yeah.
But
Did you see the interview after the World Series? So that they had a Verlander on with like Big Poppy and them, and they have Kate Upton there. He's like, "Do you want him to play another year?" And it was like, of course, I love watching my husband do what he loves. He's such a great. It's like he's such good at so good at his craft. It's like watching art out there. I'd love to watch him again. And he's just like Tom Brady and it feels right now watching
yeah,
this because his wife doesn't want him to play.
oh yeah, that's exactly what you want out of a partner. If I was a pitcher like Justin Verlander, my partner said something like that,
Woo. Pitching
it's
till
gonna
my
be a good
arm
one.
falls off.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's really found a home in Houston that has been he's had a career resurgence. He had one of his best years of his career this year at 40 years old, 42,
Yeah,
something
40,
like that.
40,
40
39.
years
I don't know
old.
if he was 39 during the year, but he's 40 right now.
Like, I mean, are we seeing another I, I hate to say it, but Nolan Ryan type
It's
with the
crazy.
late career with the Astros having
Here's
insane
my
numbers?
question. Here's my question for you now. This is a this is a tricky one. When Verlander gets in the hall, he's going as a Tiger and Astro now.
I think ultimately that's up to him. But this is like the Kobe 24 and 8 like argument, because they equal careers. Obviously, you have the World Series with the Astros too,
Two.
but
Now a
his
Cy Young
years and
probably.
he has the MVP in Detroit.
MVP, I feel like he's more like he had most of his prime there. He kind of built that team and he
Another an,
was
another situation I'm kind of seeing in my mind right now, comparable to this, is like Roy Halladay, Blue Jay, or Philly.
really what he end up going in as?
I don't
I,
know,
I think he went
but
in as
he was way more. Like he was just like best pitcher in the league with the Blue Jays, like dominant force. Went to Philly, was still very, very, very good. No hitter in the playoffs, World Series win, but it's so tough.
very tough, very tough. I think if he were to win another World Series, like if they win another World Series or he gets another Cy Young, I think that'll
Well,
make him an
he's
Astro.
gonna win the Cy Young this year. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, futures bet hit by me
There you go.
at the All-Star break. I think I put like $10 for
Hell yeah.
wasn't too much money as he was kind of the favorite, but like I still got like plus 200. Like
Can't go broke making a profit, man.
exactly. I like that attitude. I like that attitude. All right, we'll end with here we'll go Benintendi. We'll go Josh Bell, and we'll go with the Japanese.
Kodai
Prod.
Senga.
Yes, Kodai Bingo. We'll end on those three. So I think Benintendi, he's going to Chicago. Not your Cubs, though. He's going to the White Sox. I
That's
think
fine by me.
I think he fits. I think they're gonna want to remodel that. I think getting LaRussa out of there was the best thing for the White Sox. And getting a guy who, because they really struggled getting on base, I think last year, hit some home runs still. Getting a guy who's an on base guy in the outfield will fit them well.
Definitely. I really like that fit, honestly. I was thinking either along those lines or maybe even like a Detroit. A lot of people had their timeline pushed up. A lot of people thought they would be how the Orioles were this year, but maybe we see that next year.
Everything
I don't
just
know.
fell through for the Tigers. Everything that could have went wrong went wrong. That Javi
Definitely.
contract looks brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, then we got like we said, Josh Bell, switch hitter, 30-year-old, had a great postseason with the Padres. Like I said, I think San Fran is gonna get their bag. I think they probably if they don't get a shortstop, which they could, and they could still do this, I think they get Bell. I think Bell goes to San Fran, and they lock him up for 4 or 5 years, and that's their first baseman.
I think
Oh, you think he's going to the Cubs? You think
I
he's a
think the
Cubby?
Cubs are pursuing Jose Abreu and Josh Bell both very hard on maybe 4-year deals, and I think we will end up with one of those two.
I think you probably end up with Abreu more because I think you can give less of a contract. So even if you're not great, he fills that void. He gets butts in seats, and he's just kind of a veteran guy that can help the young guys. So even if you don't turn the corner while he's there, it's still a decent pay, and he'll have a decent time, and he doesn't have to leave Chicago.
I think the Cubs won't be afraid to overspend on Bell, though. Is the thing.
I just think neither will the Giants, and I think the Giants are closer than the Cubs. Plus, he's just played in San Diego.
I feel like the Giants are on this kind of trajectory, and the Cubs are on this kind of
Well, I
trajectory.
think the Giants are like this, but with free agency, it could go to like this. I think the Cubs are right now just kind of like they've already descended. They're at the bottom of the well. They're waiting to come up. I think it's going to be another
They're
year.
on the way up. They're on the
They're
way
I
up.
think it's another year or two till they're on the way up, but they're chugging, they're chugging, they're chugging.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So the next one was Kodai
Kodai.
Senga. Lock it in.
Correct. That'll be the
Chicago
last one.
Cub. Played on the same team as Seiya Suzuki. They're very close. He said he wants to go to Philly in a tweet. He just was riding the postseason wave, probably trying to create some leverage for himself. He will be a Chicago Cub. Book
I,
it.
I
I'm very confident in that.
I do not think he goes to the Cubs. I think that's definitely an option for them. I think because they will need a starter. I think that could be, and I think they trade Hendricks this for off season.
He's off the books. Pretty
Kyle
sure.
Hendricks?
I'm pretty
No,
sure.
he has at least another year or two because I've seen some mock trades of us sending
Okay.
you James McCann for
I
Mr.
wouldn't be opposed.
Hendricks. And
Yeah.
you know what? I would enjoy that because get McCann out of here and give me Francisco Alvarez to start. But I think the Cubs are definitely an option. But I'm looking at a team that kind of disappointed in the playoffs, disappointed in the regular season. We thought we're going to be this stud team. They didn't have a bad year, but they should have had a better year. He's going to go north of the border to the Toronto Blue Jays. Going to make a rotation of Manoah, Gosman, and Senga because
And
Kikuchi
Barrios.
did not have a great year. He'll
Yeah,
probably take
Kikuchi
over
did
the
not.
Kikuchi kind of thing. Maybe they trade Kikuchi. That would be scary.
That would be scary. Yeah, I like that fit. He does have some rumors there. I feel like I've been hearing his top three are like Angels, Cubs, and Blue Jays.
I think the Angels are going to be in play for a lot of pitchers. I think that's ultimately where Tyler Anderson will probably go. I think they'll probably overpay him a bit. 33, he wants a bag. I think they'll either end up with him or Evaldi. They got to do something because apparently they're not trading Otani. I think I think
Chicago Cubs.
I think if maybe it's if they're not relevant by the trade deadline, they have to move him. They have to move him. There's no way he's re-signing with them. Like I feel so bad for Trout every year. I feel bad for this dude. Like
Yeah,
it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal watching this dude play and give his heart out for a team that won't give it back. It's brutal. All right. We'll have another Moonshots and Meatballs podcast up. I think we'll wait for a couple of the big guys to sign. Maybe, hopefully, it's not too long. If not, we'll have it in maybe a couple weeks after, maybe like after Thanksgiving or something like that. We'll try to get an episode. But we want to see some action here, bro. I want some action.
yeah. I hope things get going really before winter meetings.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
we shall see.
We definitely shall see. Hopefully, again, like I said, it starts to look like the other, like the NHL, MLB, or NHL,
NBA.
NFL, and NBA free agency. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've had a great year watching and great year of doing this podcast for
What
this
a
MLB season. It's been fantastic.
what a wonderful year of baseball. We saw a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff this year.
Definitely a lot of great storylines, a lot of great players, a lot of great teams. Uh, it's just been so much fun to watch, so much fun to see baseball. I'm looking forward to this free agency. Looking forward. Can't wait for March again. Cannot wait for March and April to get started again with baseball. Thank you guys so much for watching, so much for listening. Uh, Josh Sharf and Andrew all here on Moonshots and Meatballs. We'll see you on the other side.
Love you guys.